Hey guys, welcome to Guitar Dojo. In this video, I'm going to show you some exercises to help you with barring. When you're learning the guitar, the bar chord is probably like the first hard thing that you have to work your way through. So let me give you some exercises to help you get through that. Let's take a look at what barring is. The bar is the same thing as a capo, just using your first finger. See, on the guitar, everything is movable so long as you can do it physically. A lot of my students don't realize at first that the capo makes it easier to transfer your chords up the neck. Once you add a capo, you can play your open chords in another key. You could do that same thing with your first finger. It's a little bit harder, but that's something that we're going to take care of today. Your two main bar chords come from your 6th string and your 5th string. Your 6th string bar chord comes from your E and your E minor. When you play open strings, it's like pretending you have a capo right in the top. So when you move that, in order for it to sound good, you have to compensate for the open notes. Otherwise, it sounds like Alice in Chains. So what you see here is this bar chord, but I have that E major shape, or take the 3rd off and have an E minor shape. So you have a major shape and a minor shape. Your 5th string rooted bar chords come from your A and your A minor. The root form comes from your power chord. So I suggest to my students to get used to moving their power chord around. Then I show them these exercises to lay down that full bar. So right here, let me circle this so you can see that power chord shape right at the top there. Learning to do the full bar is going to take a little bit of work developing the muscles in holding it. One of the things I show my students to make it a little bit easier is using your guitar for leverage. So with your picking hand, when you lay your arm on your guitar, pull back on it a little bit. Then you could take your first finger without your thumb, pull back on it, and now you're not trying to pull back so hard that you're going to snap your neck. You just want to put a little bit of pressure on that. Then you can add your thumb for that control, but use this to help out. In the beginning, that'll make a world of difference on the pain in your hands. For these 6th string bar chords, we're going to ditch the pick and use our fingers. You're going to use your thumb on the top string and your bottom 2 fingers on your 1st and 2nd string. As you're practicing this, you want to take the time to adjust where your finger lies. With your finger digits, as you can see here, whenever you bend, you create this space. So you want to keep your finger as straight as possible when you lay that on the guitar. Using your picking hand to pull back slightly on the body and using your fretting hand to pull back on their neck will make it a little bit easier to keep this as straight as possible until you get these muscles developed enough that you can just bar on your own. In this first exercise, we're going to do just the bottom 2 strings before you start adding the major and minor in there. We're going to start at the 5th fret. I'm going to put my fingers behind the neck. Do not do that. That's bad form. Just don't do it. I'm doing this just for demonstration purposes so that way you can see I can just use one finger to play that. So starting on your 5th fret, play your 6th string, then use your 1st and 2nd finger on your picking hand to play the bottom 2 strings. Then move it back to the 3rd fret, same thing. 1st fret, then open. The song Hit the Road Jack is only a 2-minute song. Play the song in the background and use that as a timer for your practice. The more you practice, the easier it's going to get. And pretty soon you're going to be able to just drop a bar chord and you're not even going to think about it. It's not going to hurt anymore. It takes a little while to develop these skills, but work on that. Do that 2 minutes. When that feels comfortable, let's make it a little bit harder, adding in that major and minor sound to it. As I was saying before, it comes from your E and your E minor chord. So when you think of that shape, this first chord is a minor chord. So boom, we're just going to drop this so that way you can just practice the bar. But this is so you can see where this is coming from. With your picking hand, this time, thumb on the top, your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd finger are going to go on your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. Now we're just going to add in the major or minor by using our second finger. Now, as I was saying, these come from your E and your E minor shapes. The first chord would be a minor, and the rest of them would be major. And with the E, it's like if I had a bar here. So you have your A minor, G major, F major, then your E major. This song is only 2 minutes, so use that as a timer to practice this. When you get used to this first one, where you're just barring the bottom, work it up so that way you can play it this way. So Hit the Road Jack will be an easy introductory in getting that bar to feel a little bit better. Remember, use the body of your guitar. Pull back this way, pull back here, and you can see I don't need my thumb to add pressure on the back of the neck. You want to have your thumb to support and help you squeeze. I was just showing you this so that way you could see that you can pull back and it'll assist you with the bar chord. So whenever your hand gets fatigued, start using that. And it'll ease up your pains. This next song is going to give you a little bit more exercise moving that around, getting on the higher frets. When you're playing at the top of the guitar, that's where it's going to be the most difficult. That's where the most pressure is to be able to hold down your frets. So with this next song, let's try moving around these major and minor chords. Our thumb and our first 3 fingers on our first, second, and third string. Thumb on the bass. We're going to start off with our F chord. Take your first finger, move it to your 5th fret, and do a minor chord. So it'll be an A minor. Then move back to a G major, back to that F. So all together, we have major, minor, major, major, back to the G. And of course we know the notes on our 6th string. So we're going to move this up to a C, which is our 8th fret, do a major shape. Then we're going to go to the E on the 12th fret, minor shape. The D, minor shape. Back to the C. And if you remember your triads, this right here is a G minor. So this note is a G, and we have our D minor shape, as you can see, or our minor triad using our 2nd string root. We're going to play our E in the bass. The second half of it is C major, E minor, D minor, back to C major, and then G minor with an E bass. So all together we have F, A minor, G, F, back to G. Then we have C major, 8th fret, E minor, D minor, back to C, G minor with the E bass. When it comes to practicing these, I really encourage my students to put the song on in the background, let it play, just practice it, and use that as a timer. You want to be able to hold these for the length of your songs. Working on your bar chords like this is isolating that first finger, just working on developing these muscles. Whenever you're squeezing, you want to squeeze from this back part. You want to avoid curling your finger and using this part to add pressure. You want to add pressure from the back. What I have everybody do is adjust their finger. It doesn't have to be right at the very tip. You can bring it up over a little bit. This way, when you look at it, you want to make sure your fingers aren't lining up in this digit. As you can see right here, I'm curling my finger, and then because I'm using this part to squeeze, right? So if I do that, you see the way my finger, if I'm adding pressure like this, you see the way my finger curls up? Now all of these strings have that sound. When I add pressure from the back like this and keep my finger straight, boom, that is completely sealed. Another thing that you can do is bring that as close to the fret bar as possible without being on top of it. The further back you are on a fret, the harder you're going to have to hold. So maybe you should practice it in the back of the fret to make it a little harder. So these first two songs are really going to help you with your finger grip. The hardest thing about your fifth string chords is using your other three fingers to hold down those notes. I showed you before, your sixth string rooted bar chords come from your E and your E minor shape. Your fifth string rooted bar chords come from your A and your A minor shape. Now, once you have a major chord on your sixth string, boom, you automatically have a minor chord on your fifth string. Now, it's weird because they're the same shape. You have a major shape on your sixth string, you drop that down one string, now you have a minor. But that's where you got to remember that it comes from the open A minor shape, and this one comes from the open E major shape. They're the same shape, different strings, but that's a little confusing at first for my students, like, why is it the same shape? No, that's it. You got a major shape up here and then a minor shape when you drop it down one string. So once you have the sixth string bar chord, your fifth string minor chord should be no problem. The problem comes with the major chord. So the traditional way to hold your fifth string major chord is with all four fingers. Another common way that people play this is with just your third finger and taking that and arching over it. But as you just heard, I thumped that first string. So that is a little bit awkward. It's a little bit painful on that joint if you're not used to it. So what I've done is taken that same thing, but instead of just using my third finger, I add my pinky to that second string, and I just use this one to bar those two. That way I can arch over that first string and have that. That makes it easier for me, and I've always played it like that. I show that to my students, so you can have a choice. You can play it with all four fingers if that fits. You can play it with just those three if you can get your finger to arch over that first string. Or you can try barring the two and adding your pinky to the first. Over time, you're gonna find fingerings that are gonna work for you, but try a few out. Try some different ways to do it and find out what works best for you. I always try to practice my fingerings every way possible, so that way nothing is new anytime I try it. I've always got something that I've done that before. So with this last song, let's work on playing our fifth string rooted bar chords. The song normally has seventh chords, but you can substitute those with their major and minor counterparts. With this one, we're gonna go ahead and use a pick. So right away, you can see you have a minor chord, major, major, major. Your A major is normally, played, or however you play it. I play mine with two fingers. Like I said, I bar two and hold one. So our first chord is E minor on your seventh fret. Then we're gonna use a D major rooted on your fifth fret. A C major rooted on your third fret. And then an A major. When you come back to that open, use those back three fingers. That'll make that transition a little bit easier as you're moving in. That way you don't have to completely change shapes. We're gonna start off with an E minor on your seventh fret. Play your sixth string open twice. Strum the E minor. And then the arrows just mean another down, up. So the first part, slide that back to a D minor. And right here, for me, all I have to do is boom, add my pinky. And I have all three of those strings covered. Starting with the E minor, slide it back to your D major, slide back to your C major, to your A major. barring is the first hard thing that we got to come across as a guitar player. Hopefully these will give you something to work on to really concentrate on getting your first finger to add the pressure as needed, and then a few songs to practice. That way you can use them as timers. Hit the Road Jack is only 2 minutes, so work on add in the major and minor. Really work on building the strength in your first finger, and over time you will see that practicing this way will make some of these chords a lot easier when you start to attempt other songs that have bar chords in them. Another notable mention would be All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. Starts off with a minor, C sharp minor, B major, A major, and it just rolls through those. And an easy way to remember that is it's the dots. So you got minor, major, major, minor, major, major. Practicing with songs just makes learning a little bit more fun than just trying to get that bar to work for you. I hope this helps you guys on your journey to learning how to do bar chords and playing the guitar. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you need any help with anything or you don't understand something, let me know. I hope this helped you. If you like the content, please subscribe, hit the like button, help me out a little bit, and can't wait to see you in the next video.